morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Steve. Good morning. Good morning. Small group. Happy to get started, though. We're calling this little conversation "Honoring the Hack," but I've subtitled it "Or How One Technology Company Ditched Its Pride, Learned How to Listen, and Let the Industry Do the Development." And this is the non-API version, so we'll get to that a little bit later. I want to thank Damon and Steve and Paul for really helping to develop this community. It's a critical community. And I promise to give you an introduction in a second, but we're a technology provider, so we know just how important community and the community voices and understanding the community needs is to this entire industry. And I want to thank Matt and the Built Worlds group for fostering the community, right? That's the next step, is actually supporting it. My name is Jervey. I work with Bluebeam Software, and I work with a lot of our sort of larger enterprise level construction engineering companies that are really leading the way. I'm at this point more of a conversation enabler than I am anything else, which is exactly why we're here. We want to be part of the conversation. And I'm definitely not Kelly Ward, which is one of your programs. I'm not nearly as pretty as she is. So, for those of you that were expecting just to watch a woman for the next half an hour, you can now go. But no. So what we do obviously is, well, let me ask you the audience question. How many people here know what Bluebeam software is? Okay, almost everybody. Does everybody know? How many here use Bluebeam Review on a daily basis? You guys better. Okay, well, just very quickly, just so that everybody kind of has an understanding of where we're coming from. Bluebeam Review is a 2D and 3D PDF markup and collaboration solution, and it gets used a lot throughout the project lifecycle. So it might be something as simple as converting an AutoCAD drawing to PDF, or it might be doing a quick takeoff in PDF, or it might be posting your RFIs, it might be doing a bunch of closeout documents that are hyperlinked, etc. But we focus on using the PDF as a sort of base solution for all the work that we do. We're seeing more and more 3D PDFs, which is exciting, but most of our customers are using sort of the 2D, sort of paper replication process, as I like to call it. And it's a little bit like a Swiss Army knife. It's a really versatile tool. It's cheap. It's not necessarily the thing that you would bring out to the forest on a camping trip to cut down a tree. But you might want to open a can of soup with it. You might want to, use the scissors to cut some branch out of your backpack or whatever. I have no idea. I don't do much camping. And we know the PDF isn't necessarily the most sexy of all formats. It's maybe not the most exciting thing at a hackathon to be thinking about, but it's the front-end solution for a lot of the work that gets done out there. It's an easy place, universally sort of acceptable, it's cheap, it's easy to use, it's something that everybody can use to communicate pieces of information that are critical. And obviously that's a big part of what this community is up to anyway. It's about communication of information. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But we do like the idea that it's sort of the glue that binds, and it's really where the boots meet the dirt, as our product management team likes to say, and that's an exciting part of what we do day in, day out. So we get to spend a lot of time with you guys, really out in the field, watching how that gets used out day to day in the workflow. It also protects a lot of the native sort of design documents that you might use, which is a nice thing in terms of risk management. Okay, but that's enough about, I don't want to run the risk of sort of talking about PDFs. That's not why we're here. And certainly, of all the things that we didn't want to do here, is do a sales pitch. Because we're here really to support the industry and to support innovation throughout the industry. So I think, why are we here? We're here because we live to help solve great problems, I think. For those of you that work with us, Rick, Kevin down at Pepper, the folks that have been in sort of constant conversations with us, I think you know that we're there to serve our customers, to serve the industry, to try to help solve some big problems. And there's no better place, obviously, for us than to sit back here and really watch the industry and the brightest, the best, the most innovative folks in the industry really out here telling us what the biggest problems are and then going out and trying to solve them. So this is our first time here. It will definitely not be our last. I think we have some mega takeaways already, and the darn thing's barely even begun, that we need to be bringing developers here, and we need to be able to actually help support this from an entirely different perspective. So know that we'll be hopefully even more engaged, helping you guys solve problems, at a guerrilla warfare type level out here as we move forward. So we're here to observe. There's no doubt about that. It's our first time, but we also get really inspired by the work that you guys are doing. And I think there's a part of our DNA that is hack-based, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about our history as a company and how that has played a role in the way that we do things. Again, this is really about honoring sort of the most underground innovation that happens in the industry, and about how we learned ourselves to sort of shut the F up and listen to what people need and not pretend to guess at tools that are useful. And the last reason is we're here because we live in fear of our customers. They basically gave us no choice to start to attend these. We had a couple of funny stories. We had, I don't think it was the first hack, but it was one of the California hacks. And we got a call from one of our customers saying, "Where the hell are you guys? What are you doing? New Form is here, and they're helping us solve problems." And we were like, "Oh shit." And then for the Seattle hack, we got a call in advance. They had Liz Angel, I don't know if anybody knows, from Howard S. Wright. They were right there in the Seattle area, and she was like, "Man, we have this whole workflow thing that we want to do with using Bluebeam Review. If you guys aren't there, we're not going to be able to take care of it really the way we want to do it." And it just felt like such a huge missed opportunity for us. And so better late than never, right? We're here and we're excited. So let me talk a little bit about the history of the company. I don't think I'm going to make it for a full half an hour. You're welcome. But I want to talk a little bit, like I said, about how hacking is in our DNA, and I think we'd be remiss as a company if we weren't paying attention to something like this, if we weren't engaged with this community. We started at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory about 13 years ago. A little bit before that, actually. We were a spin-off of JPL called Alliance Space Systems, and the aerospace engineers there were just looking for a better way to print PDF from SolidWorks. SolidWorks and SolidWorks. But basically, it was a crapshoot whether or not the output was going to be near usable. And so they built a plugin, simple as that. It was just a simple plugin for SolidWorks that went to PDF, and it was just a better, higher quality vector content-based output. And they were able to use it to do different things. And it was like, okay, great. So they just hacked it up. They just figured, okay, well, there's got to be a better solution. Why wait around for the industry to solve it? We'll just solve that problem ourselves. And that's really the beginning of Bluebeam software. Eventually spun out of Alliance Space Systems, but obviously those PDF creation tools, those plugins, were a hit in the AEC community. So we also have sort of AEC community built into our DNA as well. So the engineering community quickly embraced the plugins that we have for SolidWorks. We made one for AutoCAD, blah, blah, blah. Now it's Revit, and SolidWorks, and Navisworks, and SketchUp. And a few years later, we moved into a full-on PDF editing tool. And we knew, I think, I just was having a conversation downstairs about how the critical moment for us was how we had embraced the AEC workflow, right? We had embraced the industry. It made it very simple to leave Adobe Acrobat as a PDF markup tool because they didn't give a shit about AEC. They just didn't care. And we cared. It was in our blood. It was something that we really wanted to those were the problems that we wanted to solve. So, making customizable tools that serve the kinds of work that you guys do day in and day out, that was a big deal for us. Really being able to work on document automation, updating, being able to quickly hyperlink drawings to RFIs or to other drawings, being able to do batch slip sheeting, which is in our newer issue. That stuff was all critical, and you guys have been on board. Many of you have been on board for a very long time. So it's really, without getting too much into what we do every day, it's really about how we sort of started with the hack. We started with our own little individual AEC hackathon 13 years ago. And we've really been driven by the industry's needs, and just trying to stay focused on, being one small piece of a larger puzzle, but one that can ultimately serve the greater needs of the community. So, what drives us now? Well, we, as I mentioned before, and I hope we'll attest to this, we really have worked hard over the last 10, 12 years to create genuine, candid, really trust-based relationships that create mutual value for our customers and for us. So what we want to do is we want to just listen to what's out there. We want to go watch you guys in action. We want to make sure that we understand what tools are needed and how to build them. Not just, like I said, not just guessing at tools that ultimately we think might be cool or might be useful. Well, that's a waste of time. It's a missed opportunity. Kevin and I have spent a lot of time working together, trying to get a better understanding of what their needs as an organization are, and trying to extrapolate those specific needs out to more universal needs throughout the industry. So that sort of mutually beneficial relationship is hopefully very similar to what's happening here. I mean, that's, I think, what the hackathon's all about. It's about spending time developing community, developing relationships, understanding what's working, and most importantly, what's not working. Which of our tools sucks? That sucks. Why would you do it this way? Or if you're going to build this, you have to then build that, and that's how we've been fueled for a long time. And I think, not to call out any other technology providers in the room, but you should demand that of your technology providers. That level of commitment that I think we show is a commitment that your other vendors should show to you. Because why make tools if that's not the case? Why guess at stuff when you could actually have an honest dialogue with the industry to find out more about what those needs are? Again, we're one small piece of a puzzle, so there's a lot more work to do. We'll get to that in a second, but we want this energy to pervade all that we're doing, this sense of innovation, this sense of newness. I think we're trying to embrace that ourselves day in and day out. We want to know that. We want to feel that genuine sort of electricity and energy in the relationships that we have with the industry. So I hope that that's what we're doing, and I hope that that's what you're expecting. I hope we're setting the bar higher, and that we're changing your expectations of the way that the industry and the technology providers that you work with are actually working. And again, we're into problem solving. So we know that technology is about efficiency. And these are long days for a lot of people in the industry, right? You guys start early and end late. And a lot of you have families. We talk to our customers about this all the time. Well, how can we get our folks home a little earlier? How can we find better work-life balance, right? This is what we're engaged in. It's not just problem solving to make money or to sell software. It's problem solving to be a part of a better community, about a healthy community, about a community that's thinking, innovating, but also that's able to put that away and go home to their families and have work-life balance and enjoy their lives a little bit better. That may sound a little ethereal or whatever, but we believe in that, and I think it's something that everybody in this community can embrace. I say this as we're all here on a weekend, but let's forget that part. And then community development, right? I mean, Matt and his team at Buildworlds are in this all day long, and Damon and Paul and that group are all actively engaged in developing and supporting a community forum, so that everybody's voice is up, so that we can talk about things that are tool-centric, but we can also talk about things that are enterprise-centric. We can talk about things that are meaningful from various perspectives within the community. It's not just about developing software for us, it's about being part of a larger conversation about what makes people tick. And again, about about how we find better work-life balance, how we find better health in our lives. Again, I know that sounds a little nutty and very new agey, but that's something that drives us. And I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to talk about that while we're here. Okay, about 15 minutes in, so I'm going to kind of move it along a little bit. So what's happening in the industry from our perspective? Well, what we see right now is that it's all about sort of versatility and freedom. So what I mean by that, I think, is we've seen a lot of folks that are moving in more of a direction where it's like, well, here's our all-in-one tool. We're going to be able to get you from point A to point B with all of our solutions. And that's not really the feedback we've heard. And so what we're trying to do is find ways where we can continue to be a best-in-class solution for our customers, but we can play nice with all the other best-in-class solutions and not feel like, in the groups out there, don't feel like they're stuck in sort of one end-to-end, well, this is great, it's all, I only have to open one program, but these tools aren't quite as good and these tools aren't quite as good. But that obviously leads to a completely different problem, which is integration. We know that even if we're one of a half dozen core technology tools that get used day in, day out, we've got to make sure that we play nice with all that, with all those other tools. We've got to make sure that we integrate. So, I made a joke earlier at the beginning of this about how we don't have an API yet. So, you can boo and hiss, and I think that would mean a lot to me, actually. We need to be able to open up, right? We're here at this point at the Hackathon to gather a little bit of information too about what that looks like. How do we finally embrace the hack, right, and not fear it? How do we really sort of stay true to our nature, but go all the way with it, right? We've got to actually open the hood and let people start to tinker with it. And we need to be here with our developers, and we need to be a part of that, because ultimately, we all run the risk, if we're going to be one piece of the puzzle, we all run the risk of information silo. And that's ultimately going to be a bigger and bigger issue. It's already an issue right now for the industry, but if we don't really open up and allow ourselves to be a push and pull mechanism, we might be a front end solution, but ultimately there's stuff on the back end that's happening. An RFI leads to a change order, leads to a change in the accounting system. Well, if we're stuck in a PDF application that doesn't talk to the accounting system, who cares? Then it just ends up being a manual move anyway. And these are the kinds of problems that this community is trying to solve. And we want to put our money where our mouth is and make sure that we're actually showing up and helping develop those tools. So, while I don't have I wish that I could stand before you and say, and the API is coming on July 12th, but I can't do that. But it's something that we're really actively engaged in. So if anybody wants to talk to us a little bit more about what that would look like, what that would mean, how that would work for you guys, come see me or Kelly or Amanda and let us know. Because we want to facilitate information management, right? That's what this is all about for us now. Yes, we live in the PDF world, and yes, we're sort of this simple application where you make a markup. It seems so almost trivial, but it's the thing that happens every day, all day, right? It's one of the critical pieces of this whole thing. But that little markup, it represents something. It represents a piece of information. And that information very, very likely needs to go somewhere. It's driven by something and needs to go somewhere else. So my biggest fear in my role is, well, what happens when we're siloing information? What happens if we're not facilitating information flow? Well, then we're dead. We're going to be dead. And that's the single biggest, I think, issue that we'll face. All of us when we start to think about project critical and business critical information. Somebody's going to want to know what that information means and how it affects the bottom line, whether it's at the project or it's at the business level. So that's happening and something that we're really sort of engaged in philosophically, if not practically at this point. But again, as we work on an API, that's something that we would like to hear some more voices on. And custom development. So I am subtitling this little area, Love and Threats. We have, again, many willing partners who engage with us during our beta testing, but they're already hacking anyway. Like we don't have a choice. It's not something that we can look away from. The community out there, I've got a couple of stories to sort of highlight this, but we had a couple of companies that came to us just as we were going through beta testing for our newest release, Bluebeam Review 2015, and the batch slip sheeting tool that I had told you guys about just earlier, they had already developed something, right? And they'd already done some custom hack work to develop this tool because they didn't want to wait for us anymore, right? So when the industry starts to outpace you, you should feel scared, right? But I think if you focus on that, you run the risk of missing the important point, which is that the community is full of super smart people that are already solving problems with or without you. And so our opportunity is to actually really, for lack of a better term, get in bed with those customers and find out. So, we got lots of great feedback in beta testing, but we had to honor their hacks. I mean, in a sort of different way. They didn't want to leave their custom developed solutions for ours, right? And that's great collaboration. That's not something I think that's something that we enjoy but need to fully embrace. And that relationship that we have with our customers, where they're driving us, and not just theoretically, like, here's the solution that we built because you guys aren't moving fast enough. Okay, we hear you loudly and clearly. So either way, it's amazing collaboration. It obviously inspires us to do better work, to make sure that the tool that we build is at least as good as the one that was developed by our customers internally. But that sort of internal development, that's happening more and more. More and more millennials hit the marketplace. More and more millennials are the ones that are actually doing the work. They already know. A lot of them know coding. They already know how to build stuff. A lot of people here already know what they're doing. So that's a big part of what we're doing. And then Sets 3.0 for anybody that uses the Sets feature. Again, same thing. We had an issue where we had to completely change some of the base architecture of that particular tool. And we had a lot of people that use it a lot, and there were some concerns about backwards compatibility and external project participants, etc. And they missed it in beta, we missed it in beta, we just totally missed it. And as soon as we released it, they said, whoa, shit, this is going to cause a lot of problems. And we said, okay, great, we'll get on this right away. 36 hours later, they came back and said, don't worry about it, you guys work on your own pace, we hacked up this solution everywhere. We're like, wow, I mean, if we're missing these opportunities, we need to embrace this conversation because that's what's going to drive us. So we're not off the hook on that one. Definitely was better have something amazing in your next point release. Like I said, love and threats. We thrive on some good game day pressure. So where do we go from here? An API. That's going to be our single biggest technology move to help this community and to allow us to get a little bit more involved in the integration aspects, really being able to put multiple pieces together. We've got to continue to listen, we have to develop faster, and we have to continue to support innovation. And I think takeaways for me, larger sort of takeaways for me, and hopefully for everybody, I guess. We're one small part of a larger community, but all these pieces matter. So whether you're the big project management software or the PDF software, or you're one little cool app or one little cool device, we're all part of this community together, and we need to be honoring not just the people that are innovating, but also the people that are actually providing the existing solutions and supporting those existing solutions. And then how can we all work together, right? So that's what you guys are here doing, and that's what we need to discover here this weekend. And then how do we, like I said many times, how do we embrace the hack and not fear it? Innovation is really the lifeblood of all endeavor, right? So how do we harness that power at every level to sort of achieve the next level of amazing stuff that we're going to build. So that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for allowing us to be a part of this. Matt, thank you. Rob, thank you. Appreciate it. That's it. Questions?